One Storyteller presents another gripping tale that will leave you speechless. This is a story of justice, identity, and the shocking downfall of a corrupt officer who thought he could get away with anything. But he had no idea who he was messing with. Get ready for a roller coaster of emotions, because this is one story you don't want to miss. The courtroom buzzed with low murmurs as people shuffled into their seats, awaiting the hearing of Officer Greg Lawson, a name whispered with both fear and disgust among those who had seen his brand of justice firsthand. A man who had spent years abusing his badge, harassing minorities, and bending the law to suit his own prejudices. But today, something was different. Today, the tables had turned. In the front row sat a woman, calm, composed, and radiating a quiet authority that made even the judge steal a glance in her direction. Her name was Maya Sinclair. To most in the room, she was just another black woman seeking justice. To Greg Lawson, she was a victim of his unchecked power. But he had no idea who she really was. Greg adjusted his uniform as he took the stand, his confidence unshaken. He had gotten away with so much before. What was one more case? The defense attorney spoke, laying out the accusations: unlawful use of force, racial profiling, excessive aggression. Greg smirked. It was all just words to him. Then Maya Sinclair stood up, and the air in the courtroom shifted. It had happened 3 months ago. Maya had been walking home from a late-night meeting when flashing red and blue lights suddenly filled the quiet street. She knew better than to panic. Keeping her hands visible, she turned to see a patrol car pull up beside her. "You, hands where I can see them," Greg Lawson barked as he stepped out, hand already resting on his holster. Maya frowned but complied. "Officer, is there a problem?" "You match the description of a suspect," Greg said without hesitation. Maya knew the game. "And what description is that?" she asked, her voice calm. Greg sneered. "Black, female, alone at night?" Before she could say another word, he grabbed her arm roughly, twisting it behind her back. Pain shot up her shoulder as she winced. "You have no right. I have every right," Greg interrupted, shoving her against his car. "You people always think you can talk back." That was his mistake. He thought she was powerless. Maya didn't resist. She let him cuff her, let him take her to the station, let him throw her into holding like she was nothing, and she remained silent, because she was waiting. The next morning, the station chief received a call that sent the entire department into chaos. Within an hour, Maya was released without charge, and Greg was summoned to the captain's office. He walked in with a smirk, expecting a slap on the wrist. Instead, the captain's face was pale. "Officer Lawson, you have any idea who you arrested last night?" Greg scoffed. "Some random woman who got mouthy." The captain threw a file onto the desk. "That random woman is Maya Sinclair, federal prosecutor, Harvard graduate, and she's the one leading the investigation against corrupt cops like you." The color drained from Greg's face. Now, back in the courtroom, Maya locked eyes with Greg as she approached the witness stand. "Officer Lawson," she began, her voice even, "do you remember the night of June 14th? Greg shifted uncomfortably. "I don't recall the details." "Let me refresh your memory," Maya said, turning to the judge. "Your Honor, I have video footage." The courtroom fell silent as the screen lit up. There it was, clear as day. Greg manhandling her, twisting her arms, sneering as he threw racist insults her way. Gasps filled the room. Greg paled. The judge frowned. The jury whispered. Maya turned back to him. "Do you recall now?" Greg swallowed hard, his confidence cracking for the first time. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Witnesses came forward. More victims of Greg Lawson's abuse testified. Each story painted a damning picture of a man who had hidden behind his badge for too long, and in the end the verdict was read. Guilty on all counts. Greg's world shattered. Maya stood, victorious, watching as officers led him away in handcuffs. This time he was the one powerless. She turned to the cameras, knowing this case would send a message. Justice was not blind, and those who abused their power would fall. But that was only the beginning. The media exploded. News stations ran headlines about the trial, exposing the deep-rooted corruption that Maya had been fighting against for years. The police department issued a public statement, promising reform. But Maya knew better. One conviction didn't mean the fight was over. It was just another battle won. Greg's fellow officers watched in fear, knowing that Maya wasn't stopping here. More names were about to be exposed, more cases were about to be reopened, and those who thought they were untouchable were about to learn otherwise. Maya had spent years gathering evidence against corrupt officers like Greg. With his conviction, she had leverage to dig deeper. Records were unsealed, old cases resurfaced, families of victims reached out, desperate for justice. Behind bars, Greg's former allies abandoned him. He was just another liability now, and the more he struggled, the clearer it became. Maya was unstoppable. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. This has been another powerful story brought to you by A1 Storyteller. The world is full of injustice, but stories like this remind us that truth always comes to light. If you enjoyed this and want more gripping tales, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay strong, stay aware, and keep fighting for what's right.